This is Step Houghton, the Irritated American. And what I'm irritated about today is election reform. Because it seems to me that if we learned anything from the 2020 election, it ought to be this, that it's really, really important that people have trust in the electoral system. And so it seems to me that there are a couple things, and I want to say that I'm not trying to take sides here. I understand the point of view of those who worried that increased election security will lead to the exclusion of certain voters, and I understand the concerns of people who say, well, if we don't have election security, how can we trust the results of the election? So I think it's important to take both of those concerns seriously. And the way to do that is to have a system whereby it is possible to get voter ID, not only possible, but relatively easy to get voter identification with a photograph, and that where that is demanded for when people go to vote, and where because people can have trouble being able to get to the voting place if it's a work day. We need to make Election Day the national holiday. I mean, this ought to be kind of obvious, right? I mean, though it probably wasn't an official one back in the 18th century, it was as a matter of practice because you had to go to the county courthouse to vote. And back then, going to the county courthouse was basically a half-day trip, and then you had to go back. So people took the day off. Of course, they were farmers back then, so they didn't have bosses, and they did have bosses, obviously, but a huge portion of the electorate owned their own farm and could take the day off, and obviously that's why Election Day has tended to be important parts of the year, where in November, where most of the harvest is done and people can take a day off to go vote. Well, today we work all year round because we don't live on farms. We're not farmers. So it would be a wise thing to just make it a national holiday so everyone can go and vote. And then once you've voted, just like we saw in Iraq, where they inked everyone's finger after they voted so that no one could vote twice, just do the same thing. You get the IDs set up so that people have to show either their birth certificate or the naturalization papers when they get their ID. And the way to make that relatively easy is to make sure that the places that issue those IDs, which be one per county at a minimum, also are open on all other national holidays, maybe with the exception of Christmas or the 4th of July, but most national holidays, certainly the less important ones like Columbus Day, we can definitely afford to pay people overtime to make sure that all voters can get voter identification. I mean, this is an extremely important subject, and there's just no reason for us to screw around with this. We need to make sure that everyone trusts that their voice is heard and that there aren't fake voices blotting out their voice, right? That's what we need. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope that I may have been somewhat convincing. Anyway, this is Step Houghton, the Irritated American. Have a nice day. God bless you all.